Welcome back to episode 11,464 of the Pointless Exercise REKRAP. I'm mad about the Bears last night, and I'm just going to yell for no reason. The REKRAP. This is a serious podcast, guys. I get paid a lot of money to do this, to have instant reactions after things. This is brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Victory Auto Wreckers.
That old car might be worth money. Call Victory Auto Wreckers at 860-2000 for a quote. Victory will tow no matter what condition your car's in. Victory tows 7 days a week, and you might get cash on the spot or save money by fixing up your car with used parts. Victory has 10 acres of used parts, starters, transmissions, batteries for all types of cars. Victory Auto Wreckers, 710 East Green in Bensonville near O'Hare. Call 630-860-2000.
Pay no attention to that Cub rain delay from whatever year that was. We're also brought to you by the Pat Bukowski Sports Spectacular. I get only the biggest sponsors. I'm not ripping off this bit from Cap. It's completely different. His is called the Recap. Mine is called the REKRAP. It's very different. Basically, it's just going to be a few minutes where I'm going to calmly discuss the Bears. We thought about doing a full Bear podcast again this year, and nobody wants it, so we're not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to do this, where I get irrationally angry and start screaming. So it was very disappointing what we saw last night. Not unexpected, but disappointing. And basically because they took they had the initiative to get a lead and then still disappoint us. So thanks. It's good to know we could feel something, and it's just rage. You know, you could take an optimistic look at last night and realize that Ben Johnson had never been the head coach of a football team ever before in his life. Just one game last night. That's all he'd ever done. Never junior high, junior tackle, junior college. None of the juniors and none of the seniors. And it showed a little bit, I think. Although, honestly, watch the first half, you would have thought Kevin O'Connell, who's a very good coach, also had never coached a football game in his life because the Vikings couldn't seem to get a play into the huddle with less than 8 seconds on the play clock. So a lot is made of a couple of key bad decisions by Ben Johnson. One was the challenge of I was just thinking about this. What is Hawkinson's first name? Tyler? That doesn't sound right. He's from Iowa. Who cares? The big goofy tight end with the weird hair from the Vikings. The Bears are up 11. They've just had the pick 6. All the momentum is in their favor. A little pass out to Hawkinson, who falls down trying to catch it. And as he gets up, Noah Sewell runs up, punches the ball out, picks it up, runs into the end zone, even though all the whistles were blowing. I will admit, I still think, because I'm an idiot, but I think that was a fumble. Nobody touched Hawkinson down. And the most frustrating part of it was when ESPN comes back from commercial and we've already missed the ref's explanation of what it was. And we're halfway through the great rules analyst, Russell York, his explanation. So now before the commercial, Russell was like, that's not a fumble. I don't know why they're challenging. We come back from commercial. Russell seemed very convinced it was a fumble. Now, I don't know what they ruled. Did they rule that he had given himself up? Or did they rule that Noah touched him on the way to the ball? I don't know what it was. But I didn't think it was a reckless challenge. If you win that challenge, best case, you get a touchdown because it was a clear and obvious recovery and he ran in the end zone. You're probably not going to get that. You're going to get the ball, at least, inside the 20. And if you remember what happened then, Vikings had to punt, and then the Bears just running it down the field for the first time all day. The running game is working. DeAndre Swift is like, I didn't know who he was. He should have changed numbers. And I would have thought it was a different player. He's actually running like into holes instead of last year, which was like start to run the hole and then realize, these guys can't block, and then run around and lose 8 yards, whatever. He was legitimately impressive on that drive. Bears are down, I don't know, around the 20. And Caleb goes back, looks around, can't find anybody, throws a little dump off to DeAndre, 12 yards. Here we go. We're going to score a touchdown. Well, there's a flag. What could the flag be? It was a holding on Darnell Wright. And then they showed the holding, and what the fuck? The guy he was blocking fell down. So Darnell jumped on him, which is what every offensive lineman from junior tackle, where Ben Johnson didn't coach, all the way up to the pros, that's what you do. That's not a penalty. So Bears, instead of gaining 12 yards, they have lost 10. So it's 2nd and 20. And then Caleb, who had, like, I didn't think he played that poorly. At times he played really well. At times it was like, Jesus, this like looks like last year. He had his one truly terrible play of the game. It was shades of 2024, where he drops back, gets some pressure, should throw the ball away. Instead, he circles back, and he's just running around backwards in the grass. And then he's finally going to get tackled, and so he's like, oh, I can't take a sack here. And he just wings the ball like 8 feet with his knees barely off the ground when he let go of it. It would have been better if his knees had hit, because then it would have been, it was intentional grounding. It would have been grounding. It just would have been a sack. So 10 yards from there, loss of down, 3rd and 30. Fun. Bears run a little, kind of a short pattern over the middle of the field for Olamide Zacchaeus, which I just said his name wrong, even though it's fun to say. And they're in field goal range. Cairo comes out, and the greatest Bear kicker of all time with the old shank. Later in the game, Troy, I think, might have been Joe. They're pretty good. I don't mind Joe and Troy. Said he thought the game turned on the pick six. No, it didn't. It didn't like fire the. I love the whole side. Oh, what a leader JJ McCarthy is. Throw an intercept, throw the pick six, goes around and cheering up his linemen. And basically saying, oh, don't worry, it'll get worse. And it didn't. JJ played fine. Still think he's got a little Mitch Trubisky in him, and you don't want any. And he's got a little. So that I feel is when it just started. Then the Vikings started running the ball, and that was the big key. The Bears defense just stopping the run. And that opened all the stuff up for little JJ, and he kicked their ass for the rest of the game, which is not good. I thought the other bad Caleb play was after the Vikings get a 10-point lead, the Bears get the ball back. He makes a nice throw, but Cole Kmet made a ridiculous catch because Caleb had to get that up over the jumping middle linebacker and get it to drop down. It didn't drop down enough. Cole reaches up, taps it to himself. I'm sure they did 8 podcasts about that today on Chuggo. Next play, Ben Johnson dials up a play that we're going to see a billion times as long as he's the coach, because the Lions ran it a lot and it works, especially in that situation. And that's 2 receivers to one side. In this case, it was Olamide in the slot and DJ Moore out to the left. One of them is going to run a quick out. The other one's going to go deep. And the reason that works in a situation like that more than in other spots is the defense is very conscious of you trying to get out of bounds as quickly as possible. And you can get them sometimes to overreact to the out. Well, that's what they did. The problem was Caleb looked to the out first and probably too long. And then when he looked up to DJ's wide open. But by the time Caleb saw him and threw it, he had started to throw it, the safety was coming over. And so whereas if he'd thrown it right away, he basically had the whole left third of the end zone. He could have thrown it anywhere, and DJ could have just run under it. Now he's got a guy coming, and it squeezes the window, and you have to make a perfect throw. He didn't make a perfect throw. The Bears did end up scoring, but they scored 202. There was 2:04 left when it looked like Caleb scored, and it turned out his foot was out of bounds on like the 6-inch line. They ran a really nifty play for a touchdown. All the cool plays came out after they were behind. It just shows how conservative. It was probably not dumb. Ben's game plan was so conservative early. Get the lead, and we're just going to run these plays, and we're going to run the ball, and we're going to do whatever. And then as soon as they fell behind, it was like, here's all the fun shit. They did score, but now they scored really close to 2-minute warning, so then became the whole thing. And this is the other thing Ben was getting criticized for, and today he basically admitted, yeah, I should have remembered who my kicker was. Because basically they told Cairo, just kick it out of the end zone. We can't have a return here. If you kick it out of the end zone, then no time will go off. They'll run first down with a 2-minute warning. Then we have a timeout. They're going to get the ball back with about a minute to go, a little less than a minute. But Cairo can't kick it that far. And kicks it to the middle of the end zone. And then the most overrated part of the entire broadcast was the kick returner for the Vikings looks to the sidelines, and there's the great Kevin O'Connell waving him up the field. They didn't fucking tell him, bring it out no matter what, because there's really no reason not to bring that out. You want to start the clock there. I don't get that. I love the stuff the coaches get credit for. Oh, he probably told him to look for me on the sidelines. That would be genius. Okay, see this whole mass of people over here? Pick me out when you get the ball. I'll tell you what to do. Whatever. Here's what I don't get about kickoffs with the Bears. You have the big strapping Australian punter who could kick the ball 8 miles. Why can't he kick off in a spot like that? And there's a talent to kickoffs, and with the new touchback rule where he goes to 35 now instead of the 30, Cairo's really good at the thing that they want kickers to do on the kickoffs, which is to land the ball like right at the goal line and make them make a decision. The perfect thing is they catch it just in front of the goal line. They have to bring it out, and you have enough time to go down and cover. So it's fine to have Cairo kick off in normal situations. He's good at that. But we all knew he couldn't kick it far enough to get it out of the back of the end zone. And so you have to know your personnel, and it's either have him kick it out or just kick it out of bounds. They can't decline the out of bounds penalty. They have to take the ball at the 40, or if he really shanks it, I don't know how you couldn't kick it past the other team's 40, but it's in the rule book that if you kick it sideways or backwards or whatever, you get the ball either wherever it's most advantageous for the return team. So if he kicked it to the 50, then the Vikings can have it at the 50. If he kicks it anywhere inside the 40, you get it at the 40. So that wasn't great. I didn't like that. But I've seen I haven't seen a lot. I purposely didn't like. Bear postgame shows are the worst, even when they win. There was no way I was going to watch any last night. And there are no good Bear podcasts. So that's why you're going to love the REKRAP, which is already 12 minutes long, which is too long. I'm going to wrap this up because the point is that this isn't going to take very long. But I've already seen people like, oh, I guess I'm out on Caleb. It's like, okay. So you gave the head coach a game, and you've given the quarterback one game into his second season. And now it's like, I can't handle the disappointment. I'm just going to quit. That's fine. Go ahead. I mean, the reality of the situation here is that this isn't a Super Bowl team. It's not an NFC championship game team. It's not an NFC North champion team. It's probably not a playoff team. The whole thing is this is a season where what we need to see is them get better. And we need to see Ben, who I think is a smart guy, not fuck the same thing up twice, right? Like, I think you can excuse him in his first game. Like, I'm a dope. I would have thrown the challenge for like the same time he did. Although he has said today, the guy in the booth, it's Sean Dunston, right? Isn't Sean Dunston like the replay guy for every team? He used to be the Giants like replay guy. Sean was hanging out in the replay room and he'd be like, yeah, challenge it. No, don't. They had said, yeah, you're probably not going to win it. And he's like, I think I am. Well, that's probably not great. And in the kickoff thing, he's never going to look at Cairo and go, all right, can you boot it through the end zone there, Uncle Rico? No, you can't. As for Caleb, it was pretty up and down. Like when he was good, he was really good. When he was bad, it was bad. It was mostly somewhere in between. But you have to take into account, he's running a brand new offense. Everybody on the team is running a brand new offense. You don't play, for whatever reason, they don't play shit in the preseason. When you do, you don't play. Nobody's doing anything on defense. Anyway, so the first game is different than everything else. And the Vikings have a really good defense, and they have a notoriously confusing defense. And so it can be tough to dial stuff in. There's some things he did I really liked. The biggest thing was, and a lot of this is the scheme of the offense, but Caleb took a lot of checkdowns to the point where I think Troy was getting a little irritated by all the checkdowns. But you have to remember, last year's offense had none. And this year's offense, not only do they have checkdowns, but they're really creative ones. And the Lions are really good at this. And obviously Ben is the guy who built those for them. The checkdowns tend to put the guy in the checkdown spot in a spot where he can get ahead of steam before any defender catches up with him. They're not just designed to avoid a sack and get back to the line of scrimmage. Even the checkdowns are designed to get you 5 or 6 or even more yards. And I know they emphasized it with the amount of blitzing and stuff that the Vikings do. It was, you can't go broke making a profit. So I'm not going to freak out about it after week 1. I reserve the right to freak out about it after like week 4. But I could see where it makes some sense. That said, I did see one thing where it was Chris Vanini. Is that how you say his name? From The Athletic. He had a graphic where there was the win probability was the Bears 94% in the third quarter. It's like any algorithm that spits out that the Bears have a 94% chance of winning with any lead in the third quarter is bullshit. Number one, I don't even know how you write when they don't lose a lot of 11-point third quarter leads because they don't get a lot of 11-point third quarter leads. I never thought at halftime when they were up 4, I kind of thought they were screwed because they had kicked the Vikings' ass for a half and they only had a 4-point lead. And it ended up being right that they did. They were in trouble. I wasn't dreaming it. They really were in trouble. So anyway, that's the experience. I do think that part of there's always week 1 is always a complete overreaction in either direction. Had they won, there would have been a lot of Super Bowls chance going on. And I dreaded if they lost because everybody was just going to be like, oh, he's just mad Eberflus. Oh, he's just whatever. It's just stop it, right? You don't have to go full meatball all the time. I was pissed when they lost because it's embarrassing. I don't like when they play on Monday Night Football anyway, just because I don't want the rest of the country to see the Bears. It's like, no, can't just be our little secret. They should play every game at noon, preferably maybe. You know how when you play in Europe, the games start at like 8:30? Why don't they give the Bears the permanent 8:30 spot, no matter where they're playing? Like, get it over before anybody else is like, was the Bears on today? They're looking at their fantasy thing, and it wouldn't be any Bears on their fantasy team, but they're looking at others. Like, well, this guy already played today? Oh, shit, he was playing the Bears. So we'll see. I just feel bad for Kevin Warren because it rained on his wonderful, hey, we're doing the unexpected. We're going to build a stadium in Arlington Heights announcement. Got that guy. I love his chutzpah. It's not all terribly well thought through. But I do think, obviously, there's overreaction both ways. Like, let's agree. Like, can we give Ben a month? If they still do dumb shit like this? They were their own worst enemy. There were a lot of penalties. 3 false starts in like 8 plays, 2 of them by Jonah Jackson. So I guess we know what Jonah's good at. But then there were some shit calls against them too. There was a pass interference of what clearly wasn't on Tyreek. That clearly wasn't a pass interference. That holding was not a holding. And those directly led to the Bears not scoring and then the Vikings scoring. I know you can whine and complain all you want about the refs, but it's real, and we want to blame somebody other than just our own team. So anyway, I really thought I could do pretend I was angry, really, really angry for longer than I could. I just can't. I don't know how. Well, I guess Cap probably really is that mad all the time. It doesn't seem good for his blood pressure to get that fired up about it. I do also think that the Bears are carrying an extra burden right now. No, not winning one for Vag, which was sad that they didn't, because she loved to kick the Vikings' ass. It was one of her favorite things. But the White Sox have been so bad for so long that all 9 of their fans are Bear fans, and they're putting extra hope into the Bears. And then the Cubs are falling apart right before our very eyes. And the Bears are supposed to be. This I guarantee you is a thing. There were Cub fans who were keeping an eye on one game, watching the other. And the Cubs did nothing last night in Atlanta. They had one little rally, and Pete Crow came up, and first pitch just hit it straight into the ground. And they're already pissed about that. And then just about the time the Cub game ended, the Bears started kicking the game away. And it's like, it's perpetual rage. We'll get used to it. I think we're going to have a lot of that this fall. So anyway, that's the REKRAP. Don't you miss it. Every week. Maybe. I don't know. I might never do another one of these. I did make the graphic, though. Should we look at that again? If you're watching? Look at this thing. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Was it money that was well spent, right? kind of looks like the Bear font. And it's good. I think it's good. All right. See you next week. I don't even know who they play. I've been so focused. I had been focused on this Vikings game. I was, I wasn't going to let them down. I wasn't going to look ahead. I don't remember who they play. At this point, I don't think it matters. All right. See ya.